Whether you're a startup, a solopreneur, a freelancer, or just want to build your own empire, sooner or later you will come up against the dreaded S word, sales. Being a salesperson gets a really bad rap, and for good reason. There are unfortunately some really sleazy salespeople out there that pull every trick in the book to close a sale. If that's you, then there's no need to keep watching this video. If that's not you and you want to learn how to go from dreading sales to loving every sales call and ultimately growing your business, then follow along with me. I'm going to be presenting a series of videos on how to master high-ticket selling. For a quick bit of context, over the last 15 years, I have built and sold multiple companies, which often required me to be the main salesperson in the organization for an extended period of time while we built up the company. I've worked on high volume, low ticket sales all the way through to $1 million enterprise deals, and I've tried every strategy and made every mistake. So I'm aiming to shortcut that process for you. Now, before we dive right in, I want to quickly clarify something, particularly if you are new to sales. You will hear me refer to high ticket and low ticket sales throughout this series. In this context, when talking low ticket, I'm generally talking about a product or service you would sell for $100 or less, and the aim would be to get a lot of volume. When talking high ticket, in my mind, we're aiming for thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands, which could be made up of a combination of upfront fees or one-off payments, monthly recurring fees, or long-term contracts. In a future video, I may cover enterprise sales, but those are a lot more complex and generally take a lot longer to close, so we will skip those for now. Let's remove the first barrier that blocks most people from becoming great at selling their product or service: their mind. Your mindset can make or break a sales call before you even pick up the phone or connect to that Zoom call, and here's why. If you're new to sales, there's a good chance you could be nervous about the call because you're afraid of messing up, afraid of not knowing what to say, afraid of upsetting the person at the other end of the call, and ultimately afraid of not making the sale. So here's the first two tricks you need to master. Number one, unattachment to the outcome. If you go into the call expecting to close the deal then and there, it heightens your anxiety and becomes super obvious to the prospect, usually turning them off pretty quickly. How do you overcome this? Well, that's where point two comes in. Number two, focus on the problem, not the sale. Your job as a high-ticket salesperson is not to close the deal. Your job is to identify the exact pain your prospect is experiencing and then show them how your solution removes that pain, but only if it actually can. If you can't remove their pain, if you can't solve their problem, then your job is to identify that quickly, let them know, and move on to your next call as quickly as you can. It's not to try and force them into a sale anyway. Think of the call more as a discovery process where you are working with the prospect to find the ideal solution, instead of thinking of it as a competition to see who wins at making or dodging the sale, and the whole process will become much more comfortable for both of you. Now that you have your mindset realigned, let's switch gears into the call itself. A quick Google search and you will find a dozen or more different frameworks on how to run a sales call, and they all have their pros and cons. In a future video, I'll break down the exact process I like to use, but for today, we're going to keep it simple. Remember, our goal is to find the prospect's pain points quickly and see if we can help. Here is where the first big mistake I see most people make. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think should do most of the talking on the call? You or the potential client? If you answered anything except the client, then I'm sorry, but you are wrong. You can't identify their pain points if you are doing all the talking. So if your idea of sales is saying hello and then launching straight into a pitch about why your product or service is the best thing since sliced bread, I can tell you right away, not only will your close rate suck, you will spend way too much time on calls that were doomed from the very start. So how do we uncover their pain? Well, first thing we need to know is what are their goals? What is it that gets them excited and got them to want to talk to you in the first place? Remember, people buy based on emotion and then justify their purchase with logic. So we need to uncover the emotional connection that got them on the call. Here's an example. Let's say you are a personal trainer talking to a new potential client. At an emotional level, do you think they came to you because they want to be healthier, want improved circulation, or want to improve their technique? Probably not. It's more likely there is an emotional attachment to wanting to look good, feel good, or impress someone. With that uncovered, now we can move on to the pain they are facing by digging into what is stopping them from reaching that emotionally driven desired outcome. Using my previous example as a personal trainer, now you may learn that the client is struggling to lose weight because they have an injury, lack motivation, or simply don't know how. Now this is where you come in. Now you are allowed to talk, but probably not the way you think. Let me guess, you are about to launch into how you can help them relieve the pain and hit that emotional goal, right? Wrong. Here is the next mistake I see made all the time by inexperienced salespeople. It's a mistake that can ultimately make closing the sale much harder for you towards the end of the call, if not block the sale completely, leaving you wondering what you did wrong in the first place. The short answer is you jumped into sales mode before you confirmed what the prospect is wanting to buy. So here is what you're going to do instead. Some people call it a temperature check, a pulse check, or even a readiness review, to name a few. We are going to describe the solution we think the client is looking for back to them, using as many of their own words as we can. The important nuance here is we are describing what we think the solution they are looking for is, not describing our solution specifically. Here's the example with our personal trainer. So Jim, if I'm hearing you correctly, you want to be able to take more pride in your appearance by losing weight, and you specifically need a program that caters for the fact that you have an old sporting injury that makes exercise really difficult and even painful for you. Did I understand that right? Now one of two things will happen. Number one, they jump straight in and say yes, that's exactly what they are looking for. Or number two, they start hesitating, maybe mumbling or rambling, and going off on a bit of a tangent. In the case of the second outcome, that is your cue to keep digging, because there's either something you missed or something they just didn't tell you that you need to know to design the ideal solution for them. Now you just rinse and repeat the solutioning process until you get complete buy-in that you know what they are looking for. Regardless of how you got them there, once you get that yes, now comes the actual temperature check. So Jim, if we could deliver a program that does exactly that, then on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being Charles, get lost, and 10 being this is exactly what I'm looking for, where does this program sit for you? Once again, the exact numbers here are somewhat irrelevant, but what we are looking for is the emotion and body language on how they gauge what we are proposing. An excited 9 or 10 is great, and we can move on to the next step. Anything less and any hesitation when they deliver their number is your cue to uncover what's missing from the solution you have designed. What would get them back to that 9 or 10 mark? Rinse and repeat this process until you either work out the solution they are looking for is not something you can offer, or get to the point where you completely understand what they want and what you can deliver to get them there. This temperature check is going to be extremely important later in the call and later in the series when we discuss objection handling and how to get the deal across the line. In the meantime, you now know how to get in the right mindset for approaching a sales call and the structure to start off your discovery process. In the next video, we will take a closer look at techniques to present your solution and deliver your pricing as we head towards the close. See you in the next video.